Chris Renkel, Richard Skinner here as another week of Bengals Training Camp begins. A big one, joint practices in Chicago with the Bears. We might get to see the Bengals on a little bit of Hard Knocks. But it starts off with a surprise because we talked to Amari Mims after the preseason game against the Bucs. He was jovial, he was excited, he was remarking how awesome it was to play. He played really well, and today we find out several weeks Amari Mims will be out.
Yeah, the initial question was, any injuries coming out of it Saturday night. I was waiting for a Dejon Anthony update because he busted his nose. He was in the tent for a while. The last guy that I would have thought was coming out of Zach Taylor's mouth was Amari Mims. To your point, we were in that cluster of people interviewing him after the game, and he didn't say it was bothering him. Apparently, I guess he told the coaches it was hurting a little bit. They took a picture of it. The picture showed a strained pec, and that's not something to sneeze at for an offensive lineman. The diagnosis right now is, or the timeline is, several weeks, and who knows what that is. It's pretty open-ended, and that's probably what it is. It is open-ended. But even if it's, again, pick a number, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, that's him not being able to do anything, not being able to do weight work. I mean, he's going to then need some time to ramp back up, and it just seems like he was trending in such the right direction to be the day one starter and be the long-time starter, and that still can happen as a long-time starter. But now you really need Trent Brown, who you signed, and it really honestly looked like, good thing they signed Trent. It's just an insurance policy, and hopefully they won't have to use him. Well, it looks like they're going to have to use him week one, and he got his first, coincidentally, how about that weird coincidence? His first full practice, and it was going to be, whether Mims got hurt Saturday or not, was today. And apparently, according to Frank Pollack, he looked pretty blank and good.
A lot of coachisms going around today. Several. Frank Pollack called Trent Brown a dancing bear. I've never seen a bear dance. I can't remark on that. But I think what's interesting about the Amari Mims thing, you mentioned ramping back up. It's different than Trent Brown. Trent Brown's a 10-year pro. Trent Brown can roll out on day one, maybe a week before the game, get his legs under him, and he'll be fine. Mims is doing all this for the first time. So the longer that he's out, it's going to take him a little longer than what a rested vet would do to be able to get back out there. And I don't want to say it'll be a setback when he gets back out there, but you're kind of taking 2 steps back and getting him reacclimated to this offense.
I mean, Chris, you had these next 2 weeks of a couple more games. He probably wasn't going to play in one of them, maybe the last one. But the 2 joint practices, going against first-team offensive linemen, stacking extra practice days, practice reps, techniques, all the things that a young guy has to learn. And that's not thrown out the window, mind you, but it's like all of a sudden you were going 100 miles an hour and you stopped. And to get it restarted, it's hard to do that once the season starts. I mean, you know how the season goes. Game on Sunday, recovery day Monday, off day Tuesday. Wednesday's a practice day with game plan. Thursday's, another practice day with game plan and maybe some red zone stuff. Friday's a walkthrough. Saturday's meetings, back to the routine is there. So there's no chance to really stack a ton of great practice reps. You still can do some individual drill stuff, but not near as much as you do on the practice field in camp. And so that's the thing that Amari Mims is going to miss. And the fact he was heading in the right direction and all of a sudden has to stop. That's the shame of it.
The real big thing, you mentioned Trent Brown. This is why they signed him. You can never have too many big bodies on that offensive line during the season. We are reminded that every single year, every single team. Brown's good at what he does. He's a little older. He's been dealing with whatever, general tightness, general soreness, general something or other. But he's out there. He's finally practicing. And Frank Pollack did say today he will be ready to go week one.
Yeah, and the question was asked, he talked about what a great day he had today. And I'll take him at his word. I mean, it's hard to gauge offensive linemen a lot of times in camp. But he did say, when do we got a month? And we all said, yeah, a month. He goes, yeah, I'm serious. Is it a month? And we said, yes, it's a month. He said, yeah, he won't be ready tomorrow. He'll be ready in a month. And honestly, if it had been 2 weeks, he'd probably be ready in 2 weeks. Maybe, like he said, not tomorrow, but enough time to ramp himself up too.
Overall, on today's practice, I thought T. Higgins put it best. The defense had another big day. Jermaine Pratt had an interception off Joe Burrow. This is several practices in a row. We are seeing this defense really take a step forward, and it's a defense that at times I thought maybe the secondary didn't look great early in camp, but they seem to have turned the corner.
Yeah, a little bit. And, maybe that day that they just got into hitting, it got them into full-fledged let's go mode, because it feels like since then they've had some really good practices. Kind of a mixed performance, obviously, in the preseason game, but you also weren't without any of your starting defensive linemen. Again, not an excuse, because the guys who did play, Miles Murphy, Joseph Osai, the 2 tackles, Zach Carter and Chris Jenkins, are probably going to be part of your rotation, so you need them to perform. But overall, I thought the defense had a pretty good performance on Saturday as well. And listen, this offense is going to carry this team a long, long way. That's what it's built to do. But you also can't have what you had on defense last year. You need something in the middle of 2022 and what was 2023, and maybe we're trending in at least that middle direction. That's all you need from this defense.
We have one more practice before the Bengals head off to Chi-Town for joint practices with the Bears. We asked T. Higgins, are you going to watch Hard Knocks to get a little extra info? he said, "Oh, are they on Hard Knocks? Were you aware the Bears are on Hard Knocks?"
I was aware they were on Hard Knocks. I haven't watched it yet, though. I've got them all taped at this point.
I watched the first episode. It's pretty good. But we'll see the Bengals on Hard Knocks in 2 weeks because they're going up for joint practices against the Bears.